Good evening, everybody. I think, given the turnout last night, we more than quadrupled the turnout tonight. It probably should get going. Edward, you wanna start us off?
It's gotta help her tonight, so we also need to start running now. Well, if it wasn't, there's like a big convention or something here. They're not the ships, it was small, so we're gonna. Oh, we're in? Yeah, there's only one here that was on, it's busy.
We'll do a chant calling our ancestors to witness the day, give the strength, give guidance.
Thank you. I think everybody here has met me or knows me. I'm Kit Spence. I'm the election commissioner. This is the second of a series of all candidates meetings. Tomorrow will be in Nanaimo, and the next day in Port Bernie, and then finally in Nanaimo. And these three candidates will be completely worn out by the time that we're done. We're gonna use the usual format. The candidates get 3 minutes to open. And then we'll take questions on the floor, and I think they have some participants online. And we've established a speaking order by drawing numbers out of the hat, and we just rotate through that speaking order, so it's not always the thing. With that, the candidates will have 3 minutes to give you an opening statement, and then we'll take questions, and given the number of people and the number of candidates, we'll 2 or 3 minutes on an answer. It's not like in a general election, I think we have 16 candidates in the past. It gets a little bit harder. We got to keep a little bit closer to the clock. But tonight, I don't think we're going to need to be as rigid. So, but everybody should be respectful of each other. Give everybody enough time, and we'll start with the goal.
Hold on, microphone's here. See, I'll try this one. Don't start the clock yet, kids. Okay, can everyone hear me? Good, yeah. All right, thanks, kid. Grateful to be here. I'm Nicole Malcolmson. I am a mother of three. My children's names are Eva, Bennett, and Colby. I am 39 woman, previous daughter. My grandparents are Louis and Jerry Burkholder, and my great grandparents are Robert Johnson and Julie Johnson. I am a great member, but I have ties to the Didon First Nations and Kasuth Cree and a mixed race other backgrounds. I'm currently employed at BC Ambulance or BC EHS as a project coordinator, the Indigenous Health Department. And my primary role is Indigenous health strategy and supporting the Indigenous Health Executive Director and senior directors in the functions of serving Indigenous people across the province. Before I held this role, I worked at the Queensland Project as a project coordinator also, and a project that was a partnership between University of British Columbia and New Toronto Tribal Council. And we service the 4 nations of Cayuga, Chappasit, Coquitlam, Ahousaht, and Heshquit. And what else? The years go by fast, but it went back in 2018 to about 2021. I worked with Huu-ay-aht First Nations in child and family wellness as administrative support and an events coordinator for the People's Assembly. I really appreciated my time working with Huu-ay-aht, so much so that I continued on with a couple of committees over the years. I think collectively it's about 8 years now, been serving on those that I have at the time. I'm interested in hunting and fishing, gardening. I play hockey and I coach, so I'm noticing some of the boys fatigue, so I will try to keep some of my stuff shorter just to maintain the next 3 days, but really grateful to be here and to see a few more faces in my room, so thank you. Well, excuse me, thank you.
Thank you. Terry, you're next.
Hello, thank you for coming. I know there's plenty of other places you could probably be tonight. My name is Sherry Leanne Cook. My traditional name is Huu-ay-aht. My parents are Jeff and Laverne Cook, and my children are Frederick and Sarita. I'm proud to be from Huu-ay-aht. Just a little background on myself. I have experience with the Huu-ay-aht First Nation, with the HFNDC, the Economic Development Committee, the Citizenship Committee, the Hut-way Council, the tribunal process, and the exclusion orders. In community, I am part of the Alberni Indian Residential School Art and Education Society. I help my dad with the Toy Run Port Alberni, which is a charitable organization, motorcycle rally, and all the proceeds go to children that need extra help. I run a charity group called Cook Family and Friends, and we fundraise all year long to help kids in sports so that funding is not a barrier for them to not participate. And I'm on the board of directors for the Alberni Athletic Hall. Currently, I work at Asmajachanoth. It's a delegated agency for children and families that need support and care to stay unified. Previous to that, I worked at Huu-ay-aht as a education administrator and communications liaison. And previous to that, I worked 15 years in the school district. I'm here because I feel that Huu-ay-aht needs a strong balance of female presence, that our energy is different than our male counterparts, and we have a strong backbone to carry the nation, just like we all carry our own families, and we really put that first and foremost, and I think we need it at this table. I live in Port Alberni. I grew up in Anakla for my beginning years, so I have a little bit of experience in living in both lives. I feel that the presence that we're given in urban settings is not different than what others are getting in Victoria, Vancouver, Nanaimo, and all the other places, but I think that we need a stronger Huu-ay-aht support in urban settings. And hoping that whatever I do, wherever I do it, whether it's being elected or not, that I live a really good life and I'm not just saying it, but I'm living it too.
Fine.
Hello, Connie Waddell, from the Noakins family. I am running, because I've always been involved with Huu-ay-aht for a majority of my life. Before Huu-ay-aht, I own my own business. We own our own business again. My husband and I, we have a trucking business. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I do have a granddaughter. She keeps me busy and up to date in fashion and music and you name it. Teaches me how to use my phone. But I would very much like to be a part of working with the council and for the people. I haven't been out there in a while. In that capacity, doesn't mean I'm not out there, but I still have a home in Anakla. So I, between there and our home in Fertile Hermine. Yeah, I have I bring a wide variety of experiences and strengths and knowledge. I have a lot of teachings with the elders from back to my grandparents, my great grandparents. I'm also from the Dee Dot community. I have a very large family there. So the two communities, which of course branch out to all the rest of them, we're all related somehow. But yeah, I just I'm excited to be a part of this again and seeing people I haven't seen for a while. Even when I was in Banfield last week, I think I ran into your cousin. Pat's granddaughter, yeah, Alicia, I think, it's Alicia. Ashley, yeah, it's the first time I met her. So yeah, so small community, but still meeting people all the time. So, yeah, so I'm just hoping to be a part of things and happy to answer any questions here tonight and afterwards if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. So we'll take questions from the floor and online. If you're going to ask a question, we ask that you identify yourself before you ask the question. This is a forum for the candidates to tell you what they will do, not so much a forum for you to tell them what needs to be done, but ask them what they would do and you can talk about a particular issue. You can direct your questions to an individual candidate or to all three candidates. If you direct your question to an individual candidate, the other two candidates are free to step in and provide an answer if they want. We're just going to continue to rotate through the speaking order, so two becomes one, and et cetera, as we go along. So the floor is open.
Any question?
Is this all your first time running?
You should identify yourself with people online.
I'm Christina Goslin. Just wondering who's done this before or been at this table.
Sure.
I think all three of us were here 3.5 years
I
ago.
was gonna say, I think I saw Nicole once.
We met like 7 years ago.
Was it that
Yeah,
long?
oh, it's going by fast. Hey.
It was.
I think all of us bring different qualities to what we're hoping to accomplish. We all are at different stages of life and we've all been sitting before a panel like this before, answering questions like a fire range.
You would have a favorite question that maybe one of you were hoping to answer?
I'll go next. I like the really pointed ones, like the ones that you already kind of know the answer to. We got a couple of those yesterday and it always feels like, you know, if we can't quite get it, it's a little bit more homework to do and just, yeah, those pointed questions, I really appreciate those, so.
I don't. Uh, I always think the night before, okay, what's gonna be the toughest question, maybe that's gonna be out there. And then I kind of work myself up a bit. And then although they're tough questions, like I work myself up too much. But no, I guess just, yeah, I don't have a favorite, just anything. I do my best to answer.
Thank you.
I think like Nicole. My favorite questions are the ones where you probably already know the answer yourself, that you're just needing us to solidify what you already know, and the direction that we're going is probably something in your mind that you just wanna make sure we're on the same page as you.
I only asked because I didn't prepare any questions.
You've got time.
Okay.
And do we have the questions from last time by any chance? Oh. I didn't say anything about the phone, so I didn't. Put it
I've got
out.
them.
You got them?
Read some of them up.
I can't open up the Zoom unless you open up the Zoom.
No, I have it as written in the sheet.
Okay.
I have seen it was asked yesterday. She didn't know if we did that.
Is it working online?
Yep,
Okay, good.
they have 5. I just about counted Alexis.
The paraphrase, so it's not, in the 2023 election, council made a promise to citizens when they were being sworn in. Can you tell me what that promise was and why it was important? And then, oh, do we want to ask them, re-ask them, or?
No, we just wanna give her an idea of some of the other questions that have been asked.
And then Huu-ay-aht completed an inquiry panel investigation, and from that, some very critical recommendations came out. What are your thoughts on the report and how we work towards implementing them in particular, the abuse of power recommendations? Do you feel the current funding for extracurricular programs meets the needs of our citizens? I know that I'm missing some. But what steps can parents and counselors take to encourage youth participation and make sure their voices are heard in meetings? There was economic development questions, but I wasn't able to record them at the time. Looks like we have one online, is that? Perfect, this question is from Cora Lee Bauer. We heard that we are colonized. What processes should we use to ensure we are treating all our citizens equally and equitable?
Equitably.
Equitably, yes.
Start with Connie.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much treating, it's more of what was discussed at some point yesterday was the treaty is a living document and it needs to be updated and more as we're going along within Huu-ay-aht the different things that are coming up, for example, well, like the Election Act, for one. You know, we're so stringent on what had to be done. And there was no flexibility to be able to shorten it up or take a faster way to do this. With it being such a short term and, only a few candidates, it's a lot of money being spent. Where, you know, I think there could have been a better way, but because we have our laws that we put in place ourselves. That's something that we could be changing, and maybe it is being changed, I don't know. But that's an example of we're stringing ourselves, we're becoming the bureaucraticness that we try to get away from.
Thank you, good call.
Well, the fun thing about colonization is you can never put it back in the box. And when I think of colonization, I think of the breakdown of relationships that have happened in our communities. The fact that we differentiate ourselves between being urban living and on reserve living, and there's, you know, there definitely is a difference when it comes to the connectedness that people feel, you know, living away from what we're gonna call home, but, you know, fully recognizing that home is where we make it. And to treat citizens equitably, I feel like we can, you know, do a better job of that by, encouraging perhaps some of our quote unquote urban, members to take on, almost like a leadership role or a champion role in each of the communities that, you know, have these populations of them, whether it's a dance night or a dinner or a community dinner. You know, that's something I've saw done really well. And often it comes down to the type of people that live in these areas, but I think connection is one of the biggest parts of how can we treat people equitably, because it's not so much treating, it's more of a sense of belonging when I really think about it. And if it's more of steps that we would like to see, or suggestions to be made, I would really like to suggest that we all end up with a traditional name. I realize that that is a big, undertaking project that Huu-ay-aht has taken, so thank you for that. But, you know, I'm almost 35 years old and I don't have an Indian name, and my kids asked me on the way here, how come you can't give us one? And I was like, well, I probably could, but you know, like, you know, it's not just something I can do on my own. And, you know, it takes a family, it takes connection, it takes understanding, and I think that's one piece that, could develop that quote unquote playing field of equality that we're talking about it. And just, you know, giving her spirit a name. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Corley. I think, two things. I think we have become colonized, but I also think it's part of our growth. Because we're grown as such a large population now that we need structure to be organized. So I think that it's a double-edged sword. To be organized and efficient, we have to have that structure. And I understand that it's challenging at times, but I think some things that could help with that is transparency. Is knowing exactly what's being done, what's being spent, what's being pro for our lives. That would help, I think, understand, you know, where do I fit? Do I fit in this category? Am I this type of person? Do I need to suggest this needs to be different? And I think the other thing that we could utilize and strengthen is our culture to bolster, again, that sense of belonging. Where do I belong? Because behind the dance curtain, or you're at a public event, at a cultural event, you know where you go. You know where you go in the line of dancers, you know where you belong. And when we look at culture without the nation, everybody's important. Everybody has a space that they belong, and their strength is there, and it really shines in. So I think that would help in some equality and equity to everyone's sense of who they are, and I'm happy to stand in those places and be that voice for those things too.
Thank you. Any other questions? Did you want to review your answers for those? There were some critical questions from last night. I'm not sure that anybody here didn't already hear the answers. Would you like to hear the answers? You want to just run through those critical questions from yesterday?
Different person than yesterday, guys. We get to see it.
My voice is hurting.
It looks like.
Pretend you're a hockey.
In the 2023 election, council made a promise to citizens when they were being sworn in. Can you tell me what that promise was and why it was important?
We'll start with Nicole.
Here's the thing. I found that swearing in video. And I don't know if it's fair, but I answered it exactly the same as last night as I'm going to today, but we were all on the right track with the community safety aspect. And it being in regards to protecting women and children and, you know, ensuring that there is no harm coming to our citizens, women, children, men, elders, youth. And it was actually one of the most profound videos that I think I've gone back to watch. You know, I've gone back and watched a number of, you know, live or, you know, different all candidates meetings and stuff lately, and I would really appreciate it, Karen, I see you looking at me, if we could share that video again to the Huu-ay-aht page, just so people can take that messaging away. There was the most profound story from Deborah Cook that was shared, and I don't feel like I would be doing it justice by paraphrasing it, but I really want to encourage everybody to go back and really recognize the triumph and the strength and the perseverance of our Huu-ay-aht people, and what a big stance that the existing council has taken in ensuring that these occurrences or these harms are not going to continue in our community. And it's not something I feel comfortable sharing fully about, not here and not right now, but I would really appreciate it if that could be shared so everyone could experience what I got to see myself today when I found it. Well, thank you.
Sure.
I think I remember sitting there and maybe it was inspiration to some of the current council, but I remember saying not on my watch. Like, not on my watch were you gonna be witnessing or partaking or a standby when a woman in a family was put in jail. And I think we've done really, really well, and I wanna say this really strongly, that as a nation, we've done really, really well. We've reviewed, I think at the Huu-ay-aht Council, we've probably reviewed 8 or 9 exclusion orders. And we've really, really kept strong to, whether you're a citizen or not, and you've harmed one of our citizens, we don't want you on our territory. We really don't, and we've even gone to the step of changing the act so that we're protecting you no matter where you are. If you're in Port Alberni attending a meeting and your perpetrator is there, we don't want you there. You can go away, because the person that you victimized is there and they deserve the freedom and the right to be there. Without you being there, without you hovering, without you intimidating them. And we've done so well that other nations like so often have come to us and said, what are you guys doing right? And really truly standing by what the current elected council is doing, and they are standing by the promises they made when they took their oath too.
Thank you. Connie?
Yeah, I mean, that of course would be something that I would if successful in the candidacy, be a part of and upholding. I like to think that even in my personal life, I do that for friends and family that are close to me, even if they're not close to me, even if they live in another town. And safety is a priority, so it goes without question. And it sometimes is a really difficult thing to have to handle, but necessary at the end of the day.
Good, thank you.
Also, if anybody in the room doesn't want to read the question out loud, you can write it on a piece of paper and we can read it for you as well. If you don't feel like public speaking.
We're not that scary. Yes, we'll play charades with Edward.
We're trying to encourage them online to ask too.
Yeah.
Well,
Please online, if you have any questions, you can type them out in the chat.
There was another question.
No, I have more that were asked yesterday.
I could ask that one.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Yes.
Yay.
Question.
I had two.
Oh, yes.
Save roll. So then. Question is, so, what you can tell. It's a kind of a follow-up to the question last night, so then. Our Huu-ay-aht government consists of People's Assembly. Legislation. Public Council. Executive Council. That makes up the Huu-ay-aht government. What can you tell us about the governance structure? So that those four key levels of government that make up the Huu-ay-aht government. True.
every time I say Sherry's name, my phone says,
Oh.
Sherry.
Being a post-treaty nation, I think we're probably one of the strongest holds on dovetailing our traditional government and our structured government. I've been to many different events in other communities, and Huu-ay-aht is sitting with other Hutwis where they admire what we do as a nation, because our traditional government has so much input to what happens within the nation. And it's very unique. Lots of other nations don't have that. I also know that the elected government is very active, not just in the important council stuff, but in all the committees with the elders group and the citizenship. And we have from the Hutway table, somebody that represents all of us sitting on the elected council table. So our voices are heard in that cultural aspect all the time. From that lens is a lot different, because the people that are in each house, they're responsible to that one head of house, and their voice is always there. In terms of legislature, it's, in my opinion, very colonized, but it's very needed. It's very needed in order to change the acts, to change the laws, to change the structure of how we do it. And it's an avenue of citizens from the People's Assembly being able to hear. Because they're all streamed and online and the agendas are out. It's an avenue for citizens to hear the elected council addressing what they had brought forward at the People's Assembly. And to hear follow through or not in some cases. And to hear that sometimes it just doesn't work unless we do this, this, and this first. And to be able to understand that to change an act takes a long time. To change a law is almost gonna take a really, really long time. So I think that's something that people don't understand. So all of these things are ways for people to see and witness their concerns being brought forward in all the different levels of government. Shoot.
Thank you. Connie?
Yeah, my answer is gonna be very similar. In the Hutwood, they give their guidance to the council, to the Huu-ay government. The government oversees, like Sherry says, all of the different bodies. And the legislature carries out or enacts the law. The People's Assembly provides the input and the voting on different things that the council brings forward. Feels like I'm just kind of repeating, but yeah, each one has a role and each one is important. And no one works without the other one. The Hutwood, I always think are at the very top of the whole organization. Thanks.
I wish I could just show you my little drawing over here. It would probably make this a little bit easier, and I'll try to explain it, because I know some people are online, and, you know, just as a visual learner, it really helped me kind of understand. How do our people's concerns and the motions get carried forward? How does the work come to council? So I'll try to explain that. So People's Assembly is our obligation as create citizens, and it's all of our jobs to attend there, to hear what our nation has been working on, to be a part of the process, because that is our legal mechanism to take anything that we want changed as citizens to the legislative arena. And that's how we can put things in front of council to make them take action on things that are important to us, or things like we feel need change. And the difference between council and Huu-ay-aht is that one is our traditional system, one is our elected system. And today we're engaging with our elected system. But conveniently enough, we have one of our home here as well too. But without having council, without having Huu-ay-aht there, we would not have someone to represent us as citizens when it goes to the legislative process. So that is my understanding of it. And another way that we can also engage with the legislative process is through the committees. I'm not sure if there's another way that we tribunal also does it as well, but those are the obvious ways that we can make changes as citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Anyone else? Nobody online?
I've got 2 questions, Edward.
There. Through your life, you've encountered many elders, so then. Tell us the story of an elder that has impacted you greatly. Share a little story of a lesson learned or a story of something you've seen as a oldest upbringing, the teachings through elders.
Thank you, Edward. Fine, you?
Have to narrow it down. Well, I'm gonna go with not a government, so to speak. I'm gonna go more culture. So when I was young, many moons ago, I was learning how to dance with my my grandpa Joshua and my grandpa Joe and his living room. And they both were standing there with their drums singing, and I was just this young girl, I think I was 14 at the time, and he wanted me to do this headdress dance. And I never had done that before, much less dance, period. And as he's singing, like he always, of course, the wolf, and he, you know, he would sing, he would never speak. He had his stick and he would tap the back of my legs. And he would tell me to crouch down lower, not tell me, but point. And then, of course, his gesture of his head and slow and methodically. And at the time, I thought it was just a lesson in what I'm supposed to do when we actually get to the party and I have to go out on the floor. But as I've grown over the years and watched at many different functions and parties, I watch when the wolves take the floor, there's like the room changes. And it's like this, almost like a silence that comes, and you see the watching and the cleverness of the wolf, and just, I guess that's where the crouching comes in. I don't know. Posture was really, really important to my grandpa Joshua. And in taking that, I guess, into my personal life is how you carry yourself, like how you're watching and how your posture is, like the two go together. But I never saw it that way. I just saw it as I was being taught a dance, and I didn't know the importance of these two men who were very significant men teaching me in the living room that was way too hot because the wood stove is going. I don't know the respect that I've gained just over the years, more so when I watch others do the dance, I just have way more respect just watching them. That's, I don't know, I guess it is the lesson, is respect, and it was very meaningful for me. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for the second question, Edward. I had mentioned when we first sat down here about, you know, my interest in fishing, right? And I think of the time I spent with my grandfather Jerry or my grandfather Robert. And I just think of spending time hanging fish. Hanging fish in the smokehouse with him, in this little smokehouse he built at one of their houses out Success Road there. And just like how long that process really takes and how much, you know, fish really still takes up a lot of my adult time, and just learning how to process it. You know, and we spend so much time, you know, getting our boats ready to take my kids out fishing, and it truly is something that can be passed down, and it's so incredibly recognizable. You know, when someone is gifted with they know to smoke well and they know to cut a fish well, and that's one thing I really pride myself on, is being able to cut up 40 sockeye in an evening and not crying anymore. But I just think of all the hands-on experience that I had growing up with my Granny Julie, hanging fish in the smokehouse, picking up from it, you know. Don't put your face right in the smokehouse and the door opens, it burns your eyes. And how long that smell really does to get out of your hair and clothes. And it's just, and one of those teachable things that, you know, I'm grateful that I'm able to pass down to my kids. Maybe I'm not fishing the same spots as he used to, but again, too, I'm more than happy to show my kids how to cut fish year after year, but how to process it, how to take care of it. know, why do we do it the ways that we do? Why are some ways better? And that's one of the teachings that I think of. I thought of a few different ones, but that one's probably my favorite. So thank you for the question.
I'm gonna try to respond without crying. I work with very vulnerable families, very high risk youth. Most of the time that are disconnected because of colonization. And one of the things I say to them when they're facing challenges is, our ancestors didn't survive all they did so you could give up. Because all of our elders had lessons that they taught us. All of our elders survived smallpox, famine, colonization, residential school, abuse. But to narrow it down, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna narrow it down to two, not one. And I think if you're a certain age, you know this, you know this man, Uncle Bill, Bill Frank. You know, he lived in a small house. He wasn't wealthy with a lot of money. His wealth came from the ocean. I don't think there was any event that happened in Huu-ay-aht where he didn't supply seafood. And if you were lucky enough and he had extra seafood and he was in Port Alberni delivering to someone else, you got some too. And I was really fortunate to watch him interact with community. He was a man of very few words, but you knew he was there. And you knew he loved you because he helped you without you asking. And that was something I took from him. And he's gone now, and I miss that. And I'm constantly reminding Bucko that he comes from a man that was that way. And the other one I want to talk about is Nanny Fanny. She too was a tiny, frail woman of not very many words, but when she spoke, you listened. If she talked to you about the way you were dancing, if she talked to you about how you were misbehaving, I remember I was young and stupid, like lots of us. And I found myself pregnant at 15. And she came and she was this tiny little old woman, and I was in labor with my son. But she sat on the floor with me and she held my hand and she told me it was gonna be okay. And in that, I had faith in what I was doing, even though I felt like I was bringing my family shame. Hearing her say that it was gonna be okay, it made me feel like, okay, I got this. And even though those words are very small and not very long, it meant the world to me that this tiny little old woman sat on the floor and told me it was gonna be okay when I was a young teenager giving birth to a child. Shoot.
Thank you. Still.
Okay,
Yeah, you're on.
I have 4 questions, 2 online and 1 from the audience. Some events have high participation.
Who's the question from?
I don't know.
We need to know the name.
The unique event coordinator for the Huu-ay-aht First Nation.
What's that?
Oh, it's from Union. Is it for?
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Okay. Some events have high participation. Some events have low turnout. And communication is often raised as a key issue. Have you personally attended many community engagements? And what motivated you to participate? Or what barriers prevented you from attending? That's question 1.
Nicole, you're up first.
I think he's picking on you. You always have to go first.
Give me a how with my 2 papers in it, and I'm convinced they hold that one, so I'm gonna say that. Yeah, I worked a lot with Huu-ay-aht and the events coordinating, and these last 2 nights have been quiet. I've not seen them that quiet, and I personally don't always attend events myself, despite planning them. But I found the one factor in why I attend events more or You know, when I choose to not prioritize it, or, you know, maybe I get busy, but I don't make the time to shuffle it. Is the personal connection, and I mean. To bring it back to the themes that we've seen when people say communication is important. And I'm like, oh, you know, I might just go to the event and. You know, nobody invited me personally, I think that's something that we should probably. I've attended people's assembly more when people have reached out to me. The last one I attended, I didn't go this last year. We were going for hockey this particular, on that weekend, you know, again, though. The year before that, Karen invited me to come do med walk at one of the events. And I wasn't going to miss it. You know, it felt really important to be there when you're being asked or someone is asking if you join. Or if you're gonna be there, and I think that's one of the biggest factors in attendance is who's gonna be there? Did they invite me? And am I welcome? You know, like, and I think that's the parts of the community engagement that we're missing out on. And we're seeing the effects of it, of people not getting to try at these like low kind of impact moments. Maybe they learn to prioritize it over time, but you know, if we're not directly reaching out and asking, we're probably not gonna see those high returns or high numbers of people to feel confident enough to come to these rooms and ask these questions. So thank you to the people that did make the time, and I really encourage anyone who's watching online or, you know, has relatives in Nanaimo or Alberni to come and join us. But yeah, the human factor is a big part of it for me. Thank you for the question.
Oh. It's looking at me. I think COVID changed us dramatically. We could work remotely for almost 2 years and didn't have to be present. We could go online, we could look on Facebook, and it was all there. The world falling apart in front of us was right there. I think it's gonna take a lot of work to change that. A lot of connectedness, like she had said. I think in particular, this round that we're going on, Connie mentioned it yesterday, was that it is quite heavy, I think, on our community. Because we lost Stella. There's still a lot of hurt there, and we have had many other deaths in the recent, you know, handful of months. That makes it difficult for people to come out, and I think some things that might be barriers is that we don't get enough notification. And like Nicole just said, you know, we got hockey, we got the trip to Mexico planned in November. And those things impact how we plan. My daughter's in karate, she's in horseback riding, she's got guitar lessons, and all of those are planned for the whole year when you pay for it in advance. So I'm hard pressed to change my schedule to go to a meeting that I just got notified about a week and a half ago. Versus putting out a whole calendar that says, yep, on June 30th, this is what we're doing. It's down in Battlefield, and then it gives me time to plan. That's something that's really important to me, is planning. I like to know where I am, what I'm doing, who's gonna be there. Am I taking my kid? Am I driving my parents? Well in advance, because I feel like it's every citizen's right to go, and they should go. But have they planned for it is the important question. And I think we know a lot of dates, the nation knows a lot of dates for a lot of things coming up, but it's not gone out to the public yet. Like, we know when the People's Assembly is, it's in November, but the date hasn't been announced yet. We know there's summer camp out, but the date hasn't been announced yet. And I think those things are critical, especially with everyone having different lives. And, you know, we are still hot off the presses from COVID. And then we look at all the other things that are going around right now, Ebola and all the sicknesses that are, you know, hovering and threatening us. So those things are important too.
Thank you. Connie?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I attended a lot of functions, meetings and otherwise. But then, yeah, COVID COVID and just personal life interference. And then the option, and I'm guilty of it, as many of us are, the option is there to Zoom, so you Zoom. Just because you got into a habit of doing that, and it's a habit that I know needs to be broken. It's the same thing with making a doctor's appointment. I get a phone call unless it's something that I actually have to go in or he wants to see me for it. Dentists don't have that, but a lot of appointments I do are a Zoom, are a phone call. And that just seems to be a way of life, and so getting back into the swing of it and seeing people again. I don't know how to do that. I know I'm talking with people and I think there was some work being done on it. There's citizens that don't know all of their families and their connections. And maybe sharing that at different gatherings to keep adding on. I know there was one lady in particular that I talked to who really has no clue who her family is. So that, just we have to do business, but to throw in some of that stuff too, might get more people out, and I know I'm related to more people than I think I even know. Somebody that was an example she gave me. She could be walking down the street and pass somebody and not know that's her relative. So, yeah.
Thank you. Not sure everybody realizes, but Sherry's on the way to becoming a bionic woman. And she's had a second knee operation, so we're gonna take 5 and let Sherry walk around a little bit.
Thank you.
The food is getting taken at 7:30, but we have containers if anybody wants a container to bring stuff home with. But they're gonna take it at 7:30.
That was our chance.
Food safety.
Yes.
Can't be out for more than 2 hours.
Yes.
Earlier they've never been good.
Yeah. Oh,
I was gonna show you.
you know, everybody.
She posts that.
That'll be a first.
Said something like, one of her friends said, I want to. Little kids in
Yeah.
Hey Karen, you're muted.
Thank you, Corley. In your eyes, what do you consider the biggest challenge facing the nation in the coming years?
Oh, wonderful. I think I'm cheating a little bit on this question just because I'm a little bit more connected to the nation right now than the others. Yeah, I think, some of the biggest challenges we're gonna face in the coming years, in the remaining of this term and the next term is finances. Our businesses aren't making enough money to sustain our new citizens, our married-in citizens, our demand for more support. The cost of living is more expensive. You know, we need to pay our employees more. We need to support our youth in sports more. We need to bring up the living allowance for students who are attending college and university or going to courses that are not offered close by where they live. And we want to do that. Yeah, but I think it's gonna need some really smart thinking of how do we do it? Because we all know forestry is not our stronghold like it used to be. And using our territory as a tourism destination, it also comes with a trade-off. Because there's culturally sensitive areas, there's harvesting areas, there's, like Nicole was saying, there's seafood that's vitally important to who we are. But we need to make more money to sustain us, and we need to be very savvy in how we do that for the long term. Because whatever we do, it needs to last us, not just our generation, but the next generation and the next generation. So we need to tap into the smartest minds out there to help us accomplish all of our goals, to give our elders more money, to give our students more money, to give our athletes more support, to make sure that all people that are going through vulnerable health issues for patient travel are adequately supplied for what they need. But again, our strongest and probably our most challenging thing that is at the front of my mind is finances. True.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sherry. I'm not involved in any of the administration and what Sherry's privy to. But just in general, and I think we had a question, I was just quickly trying to find it last night in regards to how are we gonna become self-reliant? And so and number one is, how are we going to grow our businesses? And this is something we talked quite a bit about, our business farm and what we thought as individual candidates. And I think we kind of all landed in the same area of real estate and investments and partnering, what did you call it, Jeff, as an anchor for our nation, for the business arm. But yeah, that's our biggest thing, because we are growing. We have to find a way to grow our money. So, and not, because we can't just rely on what we're getting from the government. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I'm gonna take a different approach to it than just thinking finances. I think the biggest challenge I'm going to be facing, not just in this council term or the next one or the next one after that, I think we're going to be seeing the impacts of global warming. And they say this in the least green way, you know, like I grew up in a family that forestry fed my family, and I recognize money does make the world go around, especially when we talk dollars and cents around citizen benefits, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's living away from home and supporting people through that. I think it's going to make it harder for us going forwards with the changing ecosystems, the changing weather patterns, the threat of the sea rising, things like that. I think overall, that is going to become a larger problem for us as time goes forwards when it comes to how do we travel, what resources do we have available to us to sell as a commodity, right? It's going to limit the way that we, even operate with, fishing, for example, or harvesting. No two seasons are the same, but I think that we're going to see a change and it's going to become a larger problem than we anticipate. One of the biggest investments that we made got burnt last year. And, it is a huge setback for our community to experience a wildfire that, asks for the nation or, and forces the nation to have how we deliver services and how we support our communities when it's cut off from one of the largest investments that we've made to improving people's lives. And when we create the dependence on, a road, for example, when we were always people, it's going to change how we interact with, our very own resources in our communities and how we service, a community that used to be self-sufficient, now relies on the next town over, or, forcing our citizens to drive, 6 hours round trip to go see those same doctors, or, asking our nation to pay for the difference of that when it's a very niche circumstance. I think that's going to continue to create problems for us more so than money ever could. I'm not saying we're gonna go have another wildfire anytime soon, but just like it's gonna change the way that we do business and we need to be smart, so. Okay.
Okay, online from Becky, kind of follows suit with, the last question on events. Can you share what HFN government activity you partaked in 2023? And how it inspired you to run today?
What HFN activity?
What HFN government activity you participated in since 2023 that inspired you to want to run?
I think the last one that I really since 2023, okay. Was the the land development, our, what was it called? Capital and land development. Projects. It was online anyway, and then I did the survey. And if you were interested in participating at a committee level, which I said yes to. That one, I really enjoy doing that one because I'm curious to see how we are going to develop the land. I see a lot of development in Upper and Nakba. So I would like to be a part of developing even more so. Thanks.
Cool.
Then we need to put the numbers on tables. Are we excluding the inquiry panel? I'm just kind of wondering, where are we calling the 2023 activities, because I'd rather not talk about that in particular because my son's in the room right now, but I'll talk about committees then. I have participated in the Child and Family Wellness Committee and the Community Services Committee as well too. Both of those I've had the opportunity to be a part of the last 7 years, give or take 8, maybe 7, I think. I also, for a short period of time, was on the treaty implementation committee, and the inspiration to run came probably from growing up in the Huu-ay-aht office, in, you know, Robert Dennis's office, in my mother's office, after school, times like that. You know, I'm doing the same stuff to my kids as, you know, my mom did to me back in the day. And that's where my inspiration came from. I'm gonna shy away from that other opportunity that I talked about, but, yeah, 2023. I thought I didn't go to People's Assembly that year either. That was a really tough year, I think, for a lot of citizens, and I really hope to see those tides change with the changes that are occurring to the administration leadership and traditional leadership and elected leadership have made to making the environment more safe. Yeah, thank you for your question, Becky.
She just wants one thing.
I can ask.
I'm gonna give her, Becky, I'm gonna give you a list of things that have inspired me since 2023. I think we remember the forum group that did community rounds on planning and discovering what everybody's ideas were on how to increase tourism in territory, building resorts and cultural center, and combining a bunch of things down in community so that we're open for business. We want people to come, you know, that field of dreams, you build it, they will come. Is kind of been my mentality of, let's go, what are we waiting for? I was lucky enough to have Huu-ay-aht ask my daughter to be a keynote speaker at the youth conference, actually right here in this building. And that was truly inspiring to see our youth wanting to have a voice. I went into Anakla for canoe journeys, and seeing all those people just in awe of our territory makes me proud of who I am. Because I think as Huu-ay-aht we forget that we're from an amazing place and people flock to us. Like, even if I was on the ferry on the way here and the lady says, we were in Machina last year, we camped there. And an next meeting is also a very important space to be in, to hear our elders that have a vision for us that's different. I think when I look forward at our lives, I think we're our ancestors' wildest dreams. You know, we're doing things that our ancestors never dreamed of. To be self-governing, to have our own traditional government interacting with our elected government. And one of the most profound things that I've partaked in, not necessarily nation-based, but nation-connected, was hosting with my family a potlatch to give all of the young women and young men in our family names to.
Thank you.
And the other question from Coralie Bauer. If elected, how will you ensure council decisions are transparent and that citizens are kept informed?
Nicole, you're number one on this.
Oh, good, me again. Thank you for the question, Coralie. I like this question, just because I really think that we need to improve our communication, and then I don't want to use that word when describing what we should do better. I really think that we need to improve how we're communicating with citizens. I really have had a really in-depth dive into how is the tracking between the council and boards month to month. How does that get communicated out in the meantime? I think that we need to strengthen our data governance practices and really lean into the strategy. We've got some really beautiful building blocks in place when it comes to you know, third-party places that people complain to, or, you know, put comments into. I think it's really great that we have, you know, these systems starting, but I think that and I don't think this will be accomplished within a year, but should really lean into how are we tracking? And this is something that I do daily, and my brain goes to the quality complaint system at BCHS, and we have the same kind of reporting channels available to us here, and I'm just not quite sure if they're being utilized or reported back on in the ways that make sense to our citizens that reach them. I'm not saying that the reporting or the data or the input doesn't exist, but it's just in how are we packaging it and sharing it back to people, and I think that is something that we can definitely improve on as a nation. And I think it would actually solve quite a few of people's issues and plans around communication when. I'm sorry, I thought that it was giving me the okay, I know. No, I know those from very well, but I really feel like the tracking mechanisms that we have in place and reporting back on can really be strengthened, and that's one lens that I'd really love to implement in the nation, whether it's here at this table or as a citizen separately. I really think that is room to improve there, but I think we're off to a great start. And I hope that answers your question, so maybe we can start trying it there.
Great.
This is a difficult one, and I think it is difficult because I know there's some things that happen in the nation that are NDAs at that level. If elected, there's lots of things that you can't discuss because it's still in the planning stages, it's still in the feasibility stages, it's still in the we don't know for sure yet stages. So those things I understand are not shared to the community. But I think if I were elected, I reflect on when I lived in a different community. Their elected leader would always post on Facebook, this is where I'm gonna be, this is what I'm doing. Because as an elected official, voters are the people that put you there and you're responsible to them. So for me to say, this week, on Thursday, I'm gonna be in Annapolis. Next week, I'm in Victoria all week. The week after, I'm gonna be in the Port Alberta office Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm not afraid of transparency. I've got no secrets. If anybody wants to ask anything, then my door is open. Come and see me, come and talk to me. Send me an email, send me a text message and say, hey Sherry, I saw this on Facebook or I saw it on the website. What is this? If I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody who does know the answer, because I think it's your right to be informed. And I'm obviously not gonna have all the answers, but I'll know who the right people are to get those answers for you. Should.
Okay, thank you. I think one of the things, if I were successful, is I know it's something that we discussed many a times at a council meeting, is to not have so much in-camera discussions. That really, it deters citizens because they don't want to watch the council meeting, or they don't want to take the time to observe at the council meeting because they're asked to leave the room so many times. And they start to question, why is there so much in camera? And I know we've talked about that a lot in the past. So that's one way for transparency. Another would be to ensure that myself, and to raise it at a council meeting, is that everybody's got their council reports. That's something I know from the past, it's quite lax. So that, to me, if the people put you there, they need to know what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table. So also when like if I was to go away for a meeting, what did I go to that meeting for? What am I bringing back? What was the benefit of me going for Huu-ay-aht? That to me is really important, because there's meetings all over, you can fill your schedule just going to meetings, but what are you bringing back for Huu-ay-aht to benefit from those meetings you're attending? I think is a missing piece. Yeah, thank you. Oh, and communication, just one-on-one communication, that's something else, sorry, Kate. That's something else that I hear is when it's election time, everybody says, oh, it's the only time we see you is when you're campaigning, is to make a point that are still visible after an election, that the citizens want to chat, they want to hear what's going on, what you're up to, just in a informal, whatever, Walmart, where everybody meets. Thank you.
Karen, do you have anything else? Everybody, let's.
This question is kind of like, if I had $1 million. And that's also in relation to what is your elevator pitch? So then you're in a scenario where, being a large communication, we have a tripartite relationship with Canada and BC. And you just had some information that there's a significant amount of funds that are able to go towards any type of project, could be a passion that of yours, can be age offender related, can be totally done. But then you already have in-kind contribution to go towards a project, or can be construction related, can be program related, can be anything really. So then, and then you're in this elevator with it could be that there's some number of this company that has funds, or it could be an ADM. Deputy minister, but then you're in the elevator with this entity, and you have an opportunity to sort of sell your idea, because then everybody else that they talked to didn't meet the criteria for it. So there's an opportunity to be able to get into the ear of an individual. What is it?
Great question. Carrie, you're on the spot for yours.
If I had a find you love. I've made it no secret that my passion is healthy, happy families. If I were in an elevator with somebody who had a lot of money and could help us, I would build a recovery and retreat resort where families can go and reunify and be healthy together, where youth can go and detox in a healthy, safe way, in a Nechanic way, in a territory that we value so much. It would be a place where maybe people who have broken relationships can try and rebuild. Or people that are broken themselves have a place to retreat and heal and get better. I was looking at this brochure where these ladies were paying $30,000 to go away for a week in the Amazon rainforest, and their days consisted of yoga, massage, Reiki, and it included their flight and their resort fees and the services of all those people. But could you imagine if we could do that in our own territory? We're surrounded by cedar, we're wrapped in our own medicines, and we're being exposed to our own cultural healers. Our families are broken, and I want to say that honestly, because I work in an industry where I'm always helping people get put back together in a really good, healthy, safe way. And like Connie said earlier, I think a lot of our families are disconnected and they don't know who their families are. That maybe it's a space where families could reunite and get to know each other. Chew.
Right.
I wasn't sure. Not that I'm stealing your idea. But yeah, it would, my elevator speech would be help, because we can't have anything else unless we're healthy. All across the board, we were dealt a hand that none of us had any control over from generations ago, and now we're caught in this intergenerational trauma that is affecting all of us across the board. And so how do we heal? Well, I mean, we have a healing center, of course, is the natural, and there's beautiful ones, and there's all different ways of incorporating healing in one center, but also to be able, if I could have all this money, to be able to meet wanted to be, that their sky's the limit, whatever it's gonna take to heal them, to heal their family, that I would be able to say, the nation can do that. And we're gonna make it so, whether that's at home, whether that's in Africa, wherever. That would be, if I could do something like that, and some ministers here with me with the open checkbook. It's like, just hand it to me blank. I'll take care of the rest. Thank you.
Cool.
Is it just $1 million, Edward, or is there more?
Yeah, it could be any of them.
Any denomination, okay, that could change things. But I'm gonna say a rec center for our community. I would love to see. Not just like the house away, like that beautiful new floor be utilized, but like an indoor. Walking track, gym, things like that. Maybe there's gonna be an ice arena in there, maybe there's gonna be curling. That's one thing that I think of when. What would stop me from wanting to move home to an APLA is the ability to do all these things. We have these bits and pieces, but if the sky's truly the limit here, I would love to see another attraction that we can bring sports teams in to use and utilize, because really, they spend a lot of money to go to these places, if the sky's the limit. I'd love to say, let's build a golf course, an ATV track, something like that, that really draws people in. Because, if we have something that we can anchor in, maybe that's part of it, something that continues to build well. We need another attraction, just being a beautiful place, and I think that also in turn provides people something to work towards, it's something we are part of, and with those other great opportunities, it gives people a chance to heal and be a part of something a little bit bigger than themselves. Maybe, we can have a Huu-ay-aht soccer team, and maybe we could host more than just the FIFA games, so. And I think that's a great opportunity, not knocking it, but I mean, like, it's just kind of like a tip of the district for me, and. Yeah, I would love to see some more activities available, and I think we're doing a great job with what we have available to us, but a world-class gym where, we're gonna have physiotherapists that will come from all around the world. Or, host people on a different level and, have baseball or, sports. So that would be my dream if it was a pie in the sky idea. Thank you for the fun question.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh.
Thank you, Jeff Cook. I made an agreement with Christina, to ask a question she'd asked me, but she took off. I don't know, no, actually, she got asking questions. Great question. I just want to touch on, I know Hawaii is making strides into trying to improve some of our social programs or some of the social issues. I know you all touched on it a bit. But what do you attribute the social issues on in our communities? Not just to I, but other communities. I know they all suffer some of the same issues we do, being mental stress, being abuse, being lack of education, being abuse of alcohol and drugs. And there's a host of them. What do you attribute that to? And you know, how would you try to improve it?
Thanks, Jeff. Connie, you're up.
I attribute it to intergenerational trauma. And it comes in all forms, from abuse, addiction, you know, legal matters. Just, and I don't think there's one area that is just within Huu-ay-aht. It's all across. It's other communities, it's towns, it's everywhere. And how do we make it better? We keep stepping up, we keep being there, we don't stop. We don't put roadblocks in the way when people are reaching out for help. Because reaching out for help is the hardest step. Thank you.
Thanks, Connie. Go.
I think the biggest common thread that we have, between communities for the meaning that we see, the issues that we face is colonization. And again, we cannot put colonization back in the box. Unfortunately, with colonization, it brought a different lifestyle, growth that was outside of our control, different substances, different problems, illness. It changed the way that we were ready to live in, and it's been a really quick 150 years for us. And I think just how fast that society has changed, it's gonna take us some really innovative thinking to get ahead of what that curve means for Indigenous people. And I want to have this back to some of the data governance pieces as well too. We don't really have the numbers to say what exactly has caused the toxic drug overdose crisis. We just rolled over on 10 years of it, and I can firmly say that the province does not have a deep understanding of what those numbers look like when it comes to Indigenous populations, besides that it's happened. And it is a massive problem. And you know, whether it's residential schools, whether it's trauma, whether it is colonization, I think the solution to that is connection. And you know, being a part of something greater and bigger than just ourselves, we get to be created. And I think we really need to lean into that as a community and as a society, and being able to determine what that looks like ourselves going forwards. It's going to come with truly feeling like we're a part of something, and that's just my thought on the solution of how we can overcome this. I don't know if it fully ever will go away, but I think reaching for connection is a big part of potentially trying to solve it, because maybe perhaps within that there's answers on these things that belong. So thank you for your question, Jeff.
I feel like I can answer this question in multiple different ways. I think as a woman, it's self-worth, is knowing what you're worth and not devaluing yourself because of the way someone else treats you. But to know what you're worth before you even build a relationship with those people. And I think a lot of females in particular devalue themselves and allow to be themselves to be mistreated and taken advantage of. And, but I think that comes from a space of, like the other ladies have said, colonization, residential schools, intergenerational trauma. But I'm gonna tell a little story because I know some people will know this person. When I worked in the school district, we had this girl who never attended school. And my job was to go find out why she didn't attend school, so I went to her house, her grandma phone, and she said, I can't get her to come to school, come pick her up. So I went there the first day and I had tea with the nan, and I looked up the stairs and I said, come on, you have to go to school. She slammed her door and told me to F off. And I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. So the next day I went back and I said the same thing, I said, come on, you have to come to school. No response. She said, well, there's nothing we can do. I said, okay, I went back the next day and I said, I went up there and I said, come on, you have to come to school. I knocked on her door. The following week I went back and I said, you have to come to school. And I went into the grandma gave me permission and I went into her room and I said, you have to come to school. And I ripped the blankets off of her. And she kicked at me and she pulled the blankets back and she buried herself and she told me to F off again. And I went downstairs and she said, short of dumping a bucket of water on her, I don't know what to do. So the next day I went there and I said, you have to come to school. You know, it's important. And she says, well, do you want a cup of water? So I went up there with a cup of water. And I said, you have to come to school. And she didn't say anything. So I dumped a cup of water on her and it went all over the mattress and the nan gave me permission. And she got up and she said, I'll be right down. And she came to school. And to her, you know, fast forward 20 years, to her, she says that was a pivotal moment because I never gave up on her. And I think that's what we have to do to our own people, is to never give up. And the reason I tell this story is because this girl now, she does services for the nation. She owns Billy Beauty. And she remembers that story every time she sees me. And I think it's those things that help us, is to know that there's somebody out there that's never gonna give up on us. And that is a way of combating some of the things that our people go through in social issues, because I'm gonna come sit on your doorstep and I'm gonna tell you you're important, that you deserve a better life. And to keep doing it over and over and over until you hear me, until you're ready to hear me. Shoot.
Thank you. Anybody wants to go on?
I have one, since we had some crazy people online, so I did that first. If elected. Actually, no, I'm gonna ask this one. What experiences or skills do you bring that will help you serve the community effectively?
Well, I also do we had a good on, but that always. The skills that I think are good attributes that I bring over are, I'm honest. I'm hardworking. I'm willing to answer and ask the hard questions. I'm willing to do it even when it's hard. You know, the fact that I've raised 3 kids on my own for, you know, the last 8 years at least. Are skills that are directly transferable to this role, you know, like I'm here to listen to people, I'm here to help you. I'm here for the hard stuff, even when I feel like I'm ready, or, you know, I could feel like giving up, I haven't yet. And, you know, throughout that time, I've managed to give myself a degree, go to university, take on roles with responsibilities that tie directly back to some of the nation's needs that I think I can support with when it comes to health strategy. Communicating with government and the Ministry of Health, for example. Most of the documents that I had the privilege of writing end up in front of the chief ambulance officer, for a province, and it has my boss's name on it, but it's my hard work, and, I'm capable of doing those things and her not having to change much about it, because I listen. I can take a methodology and weave it through words and be able to convey the story that is sometimes between words. And I think that's a skill that I bring and that I possess in my daily life. And also too, I'm Huu-ay-aht. I've grown up around Huu-ay-aht. I truly feel that I am Huu-ay-aht when I introduce myself to every single room that I am in. It brings me such a deep sense of pride to be able to say those words when I get them to a lot. And I think where I'm at in this point in my life with being able to juggle with, all the learning that is behind me and still ahead of me, that I have something to offer right now, more so than I have before. And, I feel ready, I feel committed, and I have the availability to do so and capacity to do so. And I really appreciate the question and the opportunity to answer it. So thank you.
Thank you for the question. I'm gonna make it short because I know we're getting close to the end of the night. I think some of the things that I bring forward that can help in the role is I'm not afraid to stand up, even if I'm standing by myself. If it's the right thing to do and it's the right place to be, I'll stand up for someone else. I've done it. It doesn't frighten me at all, even if I have to stand by myself and be the only person that's bringing awareness to something. I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm whole. I don't have any issues with drugs or alcohol. I don't indulge in a lifestyle that puts me at risk of being scrutinized by the community. And I'm not afraid to be corrected. If someone has a better way of doing things and they have ideas that are probably better than mine, or they have a correction for me that I did something incorrect, then I'm not afraid to be corrected. And I'm not afraid to be wrong, because there's lots of ways to do things, as long as it's done for the better of the nation. Shoot.
What I bring is very much what everybody else brings, the listening, the communicating, the team player, the working well internally, externally, not afraid to vote against. I'm more for voting in a council meeting than consensus. Because I think it matters more what each individual, where you stand. And I'm not afraid to vote against others, even if I am voting by myself. I'm not afraid to be scrutinized, because my life has always been scrutinized from day one. We live in a fishbowl. I'm not afraid of doing the hard stuff personally and professionally. The most important thing is getting it right and getting there together, because nobody can do it alone. Thank you.
Well, I think that brings us to the close. It's 8 o'clock precisely. That's very good.
Way to go, Bonnie.
Thank you for taking the time and presenting yourself as you do. Thanks to the staff for organizing it. for Jeff for driving. Edward, thank you for the song. Do you want to finish this up with another song?
Yeah.
Before we do that, I just say that the pins and the mail-in ballots have gone out in the mail. You should start receiving them if you haven't already. And if you know of people who for some reason didn't get their pin, particularly I'm interested in people to vote electronically. It's a lot easier for everybody. So just let them know that they should be getting it. If they don't, get in touch with them, make sure they get one. Edward? That's all right. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.